All right, I'm going to get started. If you could please mute your screens so that we don't get any like back and forth, that would be great. I'll give you a minute to mute. All right. Let's get started. Welcome to Harboring Better Nutrition's July Nutrition Talk. This month, we're going to dive into 3 big nutrition myths, where they stem from, why they are not factual, and what you could do instead if you hear them. If you're new here, I'll give you a quick rundown. My name is Rachel Sileo. I'm one of the nutrition coaches here at Cow Harbor CrossFit. We serve anyone, everyone, education towards bettering their health, whether it's helping to aid in sleep, providing mindset strategies, eating habits, learning to time manage, meal prepping, trying out new recipes, getting into an exercise routine. The list goes on and on. My goal here is to give you 15 short minutes of research-based information, all things nutrition, a safe outlet for you to learn anything that you can take and implement into your own life. With that being said, 15 minutes goes by very fast, so I'm going to get started. All right, let's start with an example of how a nutrition myth has some truth behind it, but becomes misconstrued. So a big myth I was hearing in college was you shouldn't eat past 7 p.m. It was said that if you ate that late, you would gain weight. This is said so many times that I truly believed it as a fact. But as I got older, learned more about the nutrition world, I learned that this wasn't the case at all. While eating foods after a certain time doesn't magically change the calories or make anyone gain weight, it may make it harder for you to reach your weight loss goals. And the truth is that eating late has the potential to disrupt your quality of sleep, making it harder for you to make better choices throughout the day as your body's looking for those quick energy sources. So when we eat at night, specifically things higher in fat, higher in sugar, those sweet treats that we really want late at night, our blood sugar isn't going to be stable, which then changes our sleep pattern, which then changes our hormones the following day. So it's a big cascade effect. We also have elevated cortisol and ghrelin levels, which will cause us to have more cravings. We will also have lower amounts of hormone called leptin, and that is the hormone that makes us feel full and satisfied. Basically, a perfect storm for you to overconsume, and that's ultimately why there is struggle for people to see their weight loss goals if they're eating later at night. So here's what we can do instead. Instead of worrying about the time of day that we're eating, we should instead focus on quality of food and balance throughout the day. If you feel hungry after dinner because it's been a long day, go ahead, eat mindfully. Instead of grabbing something highly processed, like things with added sugar in them, grab something that's going to satisfy you, but also being balanced. This might look like Greek yogurt with fruit, an oatmeal protein ball, an apple slice, peanut butters. And also after this talk, you're going to receive a larger list of healthy, balanced snacks in an email from me. All right, myth number 1, this is a wide assumption that carbohydrate intake leads to weight gain. The idea of demonizing carbs is not a new concept. It is cyclical, meaning it comes back into popularity, typically with new names. So we've seen Atkins, we've seen South Beach, we've seen low carb, high protein, high fat. Now the newest one is ketogenic diet. The sad part about this, the people telling you that carbs are responsible for your weight gain, they're the ones profiting. So in 2027, the ketogenic diet market is going to reach $15.6 billion. So their business would be crushed if you found out the truth about carbs and how they don't make you fat after all. So let's get into the more science part of this. Carbs are your primary source of fuel. When we eat carbs, they get broken down into a simple sugar called monosaccharides. In order to absorb it, it must be in the simplest form. When absorption happens, a rise in blood sugar will stimulate the release of insulin. Without insulin, our body can't take up glucose and use it as energy with what we need. When we eat carbs, our body first uses the sugar in the blood as a quick energy source. Once our cells have taken enough energy, our liver then takes control and in turn excess sugar into glycogen as an energy source later on, which is mainly stored in the muscle in the liver. We need to remember that there is only so much storage room in our body, so anything in excess will be converted into fat for long-term storage on the body. So this long-term storage is actually essential and normal for our everyday function. Since we don't eat every minute of every day, our bodies require glucose for energy. So we're able to turn that fat into usable glucose when we need to. And remember, any macronutrient consumed in excess, even protein, will be stored as fat in the body, which is why eating at a caloric deficit is important for fat loss. So what could we do? Carbs, we now know, is our main source of energy. It's also our brain's preferred source of energy. So why are we trying to restrict it? It's like trying to run your car on an empty gas tank. Instead, we need to have a consistent and moderate intake of carbs, but pair it with protein and fat throughout the whole day. This way, we can feel more satisfied at meal times and feel fuller for longer. Since we don't have the time to eat every second of the day, we should be thankful that our bodies have some energy stored up for later. Imagine having to fill your gas tank up every single time you left the house. That would be exhausting. It's kind of the way that our bodies work. The best way to do this is to follow the plate method. Sorry, there's a fly in my face. And also the hand portion guide, incorporating throughout your 3 meals of the day. A plate method is the easiest way to kind of reshape your plate to ensure that you're hitting the right balance to reach your goals. So half of your plate should be non-starchy veggies, a fourth should be lean protein, and a fourth should be starchy carbs. Or if you prefer to mix your food, you can use the hand portion to see how much food that you should be eating. When we incorporate carbs, we should try to consume whole foods first. What I mean by this is fruits, root vegetables like potatoes, and whole grains. Then we want to consider the glycemic index of the food. Remember the insulin that we discussed earlier. This is all dependent on the glycemic index of the food that you're eating. The assigned glycemic index tells us how much our blood sugar will spike and thus how much insulin our body needs to release in order to bring that back down. We should prioritize lower glycemic index foods. However, incorporating moderate and high glycemic carbs is best earlier in the day and before and after working out. This is when our cells are more ready for the sugar when we get from the carbs. And speaking of the pre and post workout meals, let's get to myth number 2. Training fasted is better. This is a big time myth circulating around the areas of health and fitness. It was really popular in bodybuilders aiming to lose weight quickly. Maybe you've heard the claim that doing cardio fasted or before eating anything will allow you to burn more fat. This was really popular in the 90s when a fitness pro wrote a book with a chapter theorizing that aerobic exercise in the morning will optimize fat loss when fasted. So where did this myth stem from? Well, the rationale behind it was that when we go a long time without eating, aka fasting, such as overnight during sleep, our body uses sugar in our blood for energy, followed by the glycogen, which is stored by carbs, typically found in muscle tissue. After these energy sources are depleted, our body has no other choice than to rely on fat for energy. Great explanation, right? Seems promising, but this is how the myth took off. because the idea kind of like swept the bodybuilding community, and influencers were speaking about this, and people who were speaking about this is what they want it to look like. More people kind of skipped reading about it and just took it as a fact. And this kind of entered the era of lethargic looking workouts. Why? When we train fasted, there's a significant decline in performance. Not only will fasted training lead to fatigue and hunger, but also the inability to focus. CrossFit and moderate high intensity workouts require stored energy for good performance. There is no food to replenish the energy. If there's no food to replenish the energy storage, you will not be able to squat, press, deadlift as much weight. This is because your fuel tank is on empty and quite literally has no energy to expend. Fasted training does not influence weight loss or lasted change in body composition. Many people think that skipping out on meals before the gym will compensate for calories they eat after the gym. More than likely, you might overcompensate for the missing calories and even overeat, especially when you're hungry at night. Also, fat oxidation is also a term you might hear around this subject. But just so you know that fat oxidation is always happening. There's no reason to try to increase it by training fasted. So no good. What we can do instead is when we train, we use our glycogen storage to create energy from the carbs that we consume. So as we have seen that fasted exercise doesn't benefit fat loss, we recommend eating before and after your workouts to not only help with performance, but to also help with energy expenditure throughout the day and your hunger levels. A good rule of thumb is to eat a pre-workout snack. It could be applesauce, that's kind of like a quick carb, with a source of protein such as protein powder, deli meat, non-fat Greek yogurt. Aim to consume this snack 30 to 60 minutes before your activity. Myth number 3, detox products rid the body of toxins. Odds are you've seen marketing for some type of detox, whether it be a juice, a tea, even a pill. At a quick glance, this might seem something worthwhile when trying to lose weight, decrease bloating even. They make claims as it removes impurities from the blood, from the liver, where toxins are processed for elimination. It also eliminates toxins in the kidneys, the intestines, the skin. It goes on and on. You may have seen this before, after pictures showing people who look so different after doing detox 3 to 7 days afterwards. Detox teas, juices, and cleanses are everywhere, and they're easily accessible. To many of us, this might seem like not a red flag, but let's dive into why we should avoid these. We talk about how much the keto diet industry is making, but the detox market is making over 51 billion. Cold pressed juices, teas, supplements, herbs, other similar products that promise to cleanse the body, those are the one making over 51 billion. It's pretty crazy. The first thing that these companies do is convince you that your body has toxins and that there's something wrong with you. If you have concerns, you should first see a healthcare professional instead of turning to the internet where you're not really sure where the information is coming from. The teas and products you see celebrities using are not going to fix an actual toxin that gets into our bodies. So say, for instance, you are exposed to smoke or environmental waste. These are not going to help rid that from your body. Most detox teas contain diuretics, and diuretics, sometimes called water pills, help your body excrete water along with electrolytes. Due to this flushing, you will notice weight loss, but it's not the toxins being removed, nor is it the fat that you want off of your body. The human body is really fascinating, and it's equipped to a lot more than what we kind of give it credit for, especially when it comes to detoxifying. We have specific organs for this. The liver and kidneys are the main components of our body's detoxifying systems. So as we know, these detox products can cause dehydration. It starts to become more clear that this is going to do more harm than good on our bodies. Major dehydration can cause damage to the body, specifically the kidneys, which is ironic because in order for our body to be able to detoxify naturally, our kidneys need to be working in coordination with the liver, which is the most important detox organ that we have. What can we do instead? The liver is the most important tool when it comes to detoxifying our bodies, but we need to treat it well in order for it to do its thing. So a great way to keep your liver functioning efficiently is to limit the saturated fat intake, your sugar, and your alcohol. This doesn't mean you have to cut it out 100%, but incorporating them in moderation. With your liver, with your kidney, you also have to treat it well. A good way to take care of this is to stay hydrated. A good rule of thumb is to consume 60 to 80 ounces of water for most individuals, but sometimes that can vary depending on medication and stuff like that, your age. Our liver and kidney are very good at their job, and they don't need help from a detox juice or cleanses. It can handle the job on its own as long as we're taking care, though, of our overall health. So don't feel bad if you've tried one of these fad diets or if you've fallen prisoner to one of these myths that are floating around our diet industry in your face, when you're reading Instagram and all these ads and stuff like that. We're exposed to them every day. The diet industry is making so much money off of these products, but unfortunately, they just have little evidence to support them. If you've tried a diet in the past or a product that claimed to do something it didn't, don't worry. Most diets and similar products tend to fail like 95% of the time. So instead of turning to the internet, where some of the information can be misconstrued, I invite you to reach out to either a registered dietitian or a nutrition coach like myself to help you along with your journey. Making healthy choices, bettering your health, it shouldn't be complicated and it shouldn't add more stress to your life. It should be helping with your stress. It's about making small changes towards a longer term goal that's achievable, that's consistent, and something that you can do then for the rest of your life. A lot of these fads diets, yes, maybe they work short term, but they're not going to work in your life overall. Thank you so much for listening. Our 15 minutes is up. My hope is that you gain some useful information for yourself. If you think someone in your life, a friend, a colleague, loved one who maybe doesn't know about these nutrition talks, please send them my information. I would love for them to have this information so that I can help those who really want it. Keep an eye out for an email from me probably later on tonight or tomorrow with great resources from tonight's talk. Have a wonderful night, guys, and I will see you next time, August. Have a good night.